welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm RealVestGuide. I'm a real estate broker and consultant with Priceside Consulting Limited. I'm excited again to welcome you to another edition of RealVestGuide. If you are visiting my channel for the very first time, you are welcome. Please do wait to click the subscription and notification button so you can always get very interesting updates here for free. So today, like I mentioned earlier, I will be showing you how to avoid a property scam in Nigeria. I advise you watch this video to the end because every point is very important for you to know. And I'm sure that after today, your confidence in investing in the Nigerian property market will certainly increase. Alright, so the number one way on how to, when you're investing in the Nigerian property market, you must ensure that you cross-check the document. Now, when it comes to land, of course, you know that land is an immovable object, which means it cannot be moved from one point to the other. As such, the only thing that gives you the legitimate claim to any property, be it land or house, is the document surrounding that property. So when you are buying any property or when you want to invest in real estate, ensure that all the documents are intact. Ensure that you cross-check all the documents that will be given to you. For example, some of the very common and popular documents related to a property include the receipt of purchase, the deed of assignment or deed of conveyance. Of course, the survey plan should be there, and if you are buying from a family, ensure that they give you the family receipt. You also have sometimes the building plan is even attached. Of course, that can be gotten later, but ensure that all the document relating to that property is handed over to you, including the document containing the title, if it's a C of O, if it's a governor's consent, if it's a freehold. Ensure that all of these documents are given to you, and of course, ensure that oftentimes the survey is also a registered survey. But the end point is ensure that all the documents relating to that property is given to you, because should there be any case about that property, maybe in the court of law or among any form of contention, the only thing that you can use to prove your ownership of that land or property is the documents relating to that property. So the first way to avoid property scam in Nigeria is to always inquire or ask or demand or cross-check all the documents relating to that property. Avoid property scam in Nigeria is inspection. Yes, inspection of a property is very key in the property investment process. Now, inspecting a property also gives you a first-hand information about the property. Yes, by the time you go to the site or you visit the site, you'll be able to know if the property is a dry land, you'll be able to know the topography, you'll be able to know the other features, you'll know if the property is fenced, you'll be able to know the actual location, you'll also be able to possibly know other details, environmental details about the property. By inspection, I mean physical inspection. Of course, Of course, it can be virtual, it can be physical, it can also be by a third party. But the most important thing is that it is one of the ways to avoid property scam in Nigeria. Ensure you inspect or visit the property you want to acquire, because like I said, when you visit that site, you'll be able to know the actual size of the property, you'll be able to know the neighborhood, the location, the topography, and every other details that is very relevant for your purchase process. So inspection is very important. Now, if you are not within the country, let's say you are an investor that is based outside Nigeria, you can actually inspect a property using two ways. One is visual, what I call visual inspection. Of course, what within Priceside Consulting Limited, we've used that medium to close, of course, to help many Nigerians in diaspora to invest in property in Nigeria. Now, of course, technology has made the whole thing very easy. So you can actually do a virtual inspection using a particular some technological tools. The list of it is a video call. Yes, you can actually use a video call to show the person around. The person takes you to site, you connect, and they show you the various details about the property. The second way through which you can inspect a property if you are not in Nigeria is through a third party. Yes, you can send a trusted person, be it a friend, it can be a family member, who will go and check out the property on your behalf. So the most important thing here is that ensure that you inspect that property before purchase. It will save you a whole lot of stress. This is important. I've had situations, I've heard stories from clients who in the past who of course didn't inspect a property, and after payment they come back to inspect the property after some years, and some we are taken to the main road. There was no land actually. some were even taken to federal road. So these things happen. So this is one way you can avoid property scam in Nigeria. Ensure you do an inspection of a property before you begin payment. The third way to avoid property scam in Nigeria is to avoid properties under litigation. Yes, avoid any property under court contention. This can be among individuals, it can be among families, it can be among communities, it can even be among government and communities and all of that. But the most important thing is avoid any property under litigation. This is very important. This is very important because oftentimes it's one way through which people are scammed their money. And of course, this is the more reason why you need to make inquiry about any property before you also put in your money, or you consider to put in your money. Avoid properties under contention because oftentimes it doesn't end well. The parties go a long way to prove their ownership. Some even go diabolical ways and all of that. So this is very important. Unless you have done your findings and maybe there is a judgment or pronouncement by a competent court of jurisdiction over that property. And of course, the only court that is stable to follow in such judgment is the Supreme Court. If you made your findings and then the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement on that land or that property or that house, then it will be viable for you to consider. Reason being that Supreme Court is the highest court court of competent jurisdiction in the land. Yes, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, and its judgment is usually final. So when you have such a judgment, of course, such property will now bear the title of court judgment. So unless you have such cases where the title of that property is court judgment, or such property has been given by Supreme Court, then you can consider putting your money. And even when you have done that, if you end up buying the property, go ahead to solidify the property to other stable titles such as say C of O. Yes, go ahead to solidify the property, get the title of the property right. Move it from the court judgment to say a C of O, or maybe governor's consent. And of course, go ahead to erase some structures on the property to show your ownership of the property. This is very important. Avoid any property that is under court case, or that is having any form of contention, be it among community, be it among family members. It is very dangerous to put in your money in such properties. The fourth way to avoid property scam in Nigeria is to cross-check the company or realtor you are working with. By virtue of technology, nothing is hidden. So before you also put your money, when you see that advert online, it's also good for you to do a check of the company you are working with, or the company, if it's an estate property, do a check on the company that owns that property. Yes, every genuine developer has a website. And oftentimes, of course, the website contains the basic information about the company that owns the estate. That is, if you are buying an estate property now, this is very important. I'm saying this because there are so many mushroom companies out there that actually do these things to scam people. So one way you can avoid this scam is to cross-check the company that you are working with. When you see that advert that this land is owned by Mr. A or B, do wait to go online. You will certainly see their website. You will see, we are in the era of social media, you suddenly see their handles. Go ahead to do some extra inquiry about these companies, know how long they've been existing, and if the project and product they've had in the past. That will go a long way to. And even if you are working with a realtor, like what we do in Priceside Consulting Limited, I mean, we are out there. We have an online presence that you can easily check out our brand, and we are all over the media. So it is essential with any realtor out there, any genuine realtor out there. The person will certainly have either a social media presence or even a website. So this also will help you, because if anything should happen, at least you'll be able to know that this is the person that got you involved, and of course the person will be able to provide some clarification. And of course, if you are buying from a private individual, it's even the more reason why you should make your check or findings about the individual before you put in your money. It is one of those important ways you can avoid property scam in Nigeria. Alright, the fifth way to avoid property scam in Nigeria is to avoid payment without a trace. Yes, it's important that you avoid payment without a trace. When paying for a property, please do not do physical payment. Yes, don't do physical payment. Rather, use a USSD transfer or go to the bank and make the payment so that you have a receipt. This is very important. This is very important. Do not make payment using physical cash, it is not sustainable, because if anything should happen, the person you are making the payment to can easily deny any such transaction. But if you have if you use the USSD transfer, or maybe you have you go to the bank and you make a payment, you have a receipt to show proof of payment, of which at the end of the day, upon such payment, you also have a receipt that will be issued by the seller of the property. So avoid making payment without proof. Avoid making physical payment is one of the ways through which people are usually scammed in property in Nigeria here, because oftentimes they will already tell you, okay, give me the money you have and all of that, and that will be the end of it. This is very, very important. You either use a bank check, you can as well use a USSD transfer and all of that, and of which at the end of the day, you will have a receipt as a proof of payment by the property owner. And of course, this goes a long way to form part of the document. So don't make payment without a proof. And of course, the second part of this is when also buying a property, avoid the temptation of paying money to a lawyer unless you have the direct clearance from the property owner. Oftentimes we have situations where people will come up and say, the landlord said that I'm the lawyer to this property, make the payment to my account, and a lawyer will send the account for you to make such payment. It is not advisable unless you have the direct permission of the landlord. Do not make payment to any lawyer on behalf of the property owner, even if he or she is the facility manager. This will also help you to escape the issue of being scammed in the property market. I'm saying it may sound very funny, but as it may be, in reality, it's actually one of the many ways through which people get scammed, when it comes to property investment in Nigeria. And that's why I'm taking now time to dish out this very vital information. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, if you will adhere to the things I'm mentioning in this video, you too will not be a victim. Because there are many victims. Real estate is very broad and is growing daily in Nigeria. And of course, just like every other sector, the same way you have good people, you certainly have some bad eggs who are out there, who are desperate to cash out, from unsuspecting members of the public. But that's why we are here, to provide the right information, because the major reason why we're actually in this business is to ensure that people don't lose their money in the process of trying to secure their future through real estate investment. All right, the number 6 way through which you can avoid property scam in Nigeria is to do a land search. Yes, if you are buying a property or you want to invest in a property, it's always good you do a property search. Whether it's an estate property, whether it's a private sale, it's important you do a search. Yes, I know that, for example, in Lagos, if you are buying a property, you can actually check up the details of that property in Alausa, Ministry of Land and Housing in Alausa, somewhere in Lagos. I know they also have other such ministries, like in Port Harcourt. You get to the secretariat, there are such office too, where you can make the inquiry. In fact, that of Abuja sometimes even online. Yes, you can actually check out the details of that property. But the most important thing is ensure you make a finding, ensure you search for the details of that property. Part of the advantage of doing so is that, one, it will enable you to know the actual title of that property. You will know if that property have the title of C of O, or governor's consent, or RO of O in the cases of Abuja, and maybe FCDA and all of that. So property search is very important. And also, if you're even doing a private sale, is also important, because property search will enable you know if the property is free from government acquisition, if it's an approved decision, or maybe it has a gazette. Property search will enable you know the actual status of that property. And of course, it will enable you also have other details, such as the location, the geographical location, the size, and every detail you need to know about the property. So property search is very important. So before you buy a property, it's also important you do a property search, especially for houses. Yes, it's important you carry out some check from the relevant ministries that regulate land and housing in Nigeria. Is one way you can actually avoid a property search. Sometimes you see people can come and rush you, buy. No, don't give in to that. Take your time to make some findings about that property and be sure that it is free from government acquisition. It is owned by the person who is laying claim to it, so that at the end of the day, you will buy a property and you will have peace of mind. Now, just an addition too, if you're also buying a property, especially houses or even a land, also try to have a direct contact to the landowner. That is, if you are doing a private sale, like if you are buying from a private owner, try to have a direct contact to the property owner. Try to insist on knowing the original owner of the property. This is very important. People usually use this method to scam people or investors, particularly in areas like Abuja, yes, and Port Harcourt, where you have some buildings that, you know, there are no occupants, maybe the owners are abroad, or maybe the property is abandoned. Sometimes the properties are even under, you know, the check of a EFCC or maybe legal tussles and all of that, asset issues. So this is very important. Before you put in your money, you see that property online and all of that, ensure that you have a direct contact to the original owner of that property before you put in your money. It will help you a whole lot. This is very, very important. All right, the seventh way to avoid property scam in Nigeria is to beware and avoid properties that appear too good to be true. Yes, this is very important. Sometimes you see properties online or maybe even offline that, you know, they are so cheap, they are so affordable, and the owner is desperate to sell. A whole lot of things happen in this our industry, and it's important I tell you this. One of the ways, in fact, let me use the example of Gigi. One of the ways through which people get scammed these days on Gigi is a scenario I'm going to create right away. Now, you will see a house listed by the original owner, say for 250 million, a luxury apartment in Lekki or VI or Ikoyi as the case may be. Now, these scammers will take this same property and go and list it for say 100 million or even 150 million. Now, you who want to buy, you will see the two different properties, you will see the same pictures online. Now, what they will do is that it is already an arrangee. They will arrange with a lawyer that will make it look like they are already the owners of the property. So when you call the number, certainly, oftentimes investors are always looking for, you know, properties that are cheaper, or, you know, where they will get it much more cheaper. So when you see the one of 250 million and you see another one for 100 million or 150 million, the same property, you certainly will be moved to go for the one of 100 million or 150 million, because to you think is much more cheaper or affordable. Well, everybody likes it when it's cheaper, right? But that is dangerous. Now, when you call that number, they will put a number there. They've already done arrangement with a lawyer. So the person will tell you, okay, I'm the lawyer in charge of this property. Yes, this. When can you come for inspection? They arrange this thing in such a way that it looks so real but fake. Yes, I am very serious. It's important you will know this. It's one way that many people have been scammed, especially luxury investors. This is very important for you. Now, they will go ahead to arrange for an inspection. They will trace the property. Normally, such properties will be under key with a security guide and all of that. Now, when they get there, it's possible that they won't have access because they are not the mandate to the property. They don't even know the owner of that property. So when they get to the gate, it's oftentimes maybe they won't have access to the compound. They will not tell you, sorry, we can't take you inside. The security guide is not on duty, and he alone has the key and all of that. They will just make up a story. But they will not tell you like, meanwhile, well, you've seen the property. This is the road and all of that. But they because of course they don't have access to the property, they don't even know who owns the property. They won't take you inside. The next thing they will tell you is that, well, you've seen this property, our lawyer will contact you so that you can make payment, you can make an initial deposit and all of that, or maybe you can make payment. Once you leave that place and you make any payment to that account, of which oftentimes you will even see the lawyer, or even if you see the lawyer and all of that, once you make payment for that, that will be the end of the journey for that investment. They will take the money and they will cut off any possible threats. This is very important. So when you see properties online that appear too good to be true in terms of price, it's important that you cross-check. It's important. This happens for both land and houses. Is one way through which many has been scammed. and that's why I am telling you ahead. It is one way to avoid. So beware of such properties. Does it mean there are no affordable properties? Certainly there is. But one thing you must know, I've done another video for this where I was talking about prices and all of that. There are certain properties that cannot sell below certain price in certain location. Take for example, you are talking of a property that has a private swimming pool and a cinema, and someone is telling you come and buy it for 150 million. It is not possible. In a prime place like Lekki or Victoria Island or Ikoyi, it is not just possible. There is no, even if it's a distress sale. And of course, when it comes to luxury investment, oftentimes there is no distress sale involved, because the developer knows that, look, I'm putting in my money here. So when you see such properties, it's important that you cross-check. Do not be moved by the price that looks very much attractive. So this is one of the latest tricks from fraudsters, and it is usually arranged in such a way that it will look very much genuine, but at the end of the day, you end up being scammed. This is important. So when you see a property, avoid those properties that seem too good to be real. When you see a property and you see the price, cross-check the location, cross-check the quality of that property, cross-check the various features of that property, and do some mental checkup about the property and know that, look, this property are to be selling in this for this very price. There is more to it. This will help you to avoid property scam. A whole lot of people have already been scammed, and that's why I'm bringing it to your notice, so that you will not be the next victim. The 8th way to avoid property scam in Nigeria is to avoid overzealous sales. Yes, people will come to you and say, we need money, anything you have, we have to. Oftentimes people they will come with health issues. They will tell you that the family has health emergencies and all of that. Pay anything you have, give us money, take the land. Avoid such sales. It usually don't end well. It's one of the ways actually through which people are usually scammed in properties in Nigeria. Avoid overzealous sales. Take your time. Try to make some findings. If the person is desperate to sell, pause the process. Do not give into their fast track. And also ensure that at the end of the day, if you are making payment for that property, you are convinced that the property is genuine. They are everywhere. And this, of course, this is very much rampant with private sales. Yes, that is why we don't really do much of private sales. We always advise investors to invest through real estate or developers. It gives you much more security for your investment than when you are buying from private individuals. So avoid overzealous sale is one of those ways. People will come and tell you, our family is having this ceremony, we just need money for burial. Sometimes they even say they need money for burial or traditional stuff and all of that. And they will tell you anything you have. Okay, this property, we wanted to sell it at this at 5 million or thereabout, but if you have 800,000, we'll just give you because we want to use it to treat or do. So avoid the end point is avoid overzealous sales. Such sales don't end well. At the end of the day, it could be that the person is trying to cash out on you, and after you pay what you think may be much more cheaper, at the end of the day, you find out that another person will come and resell that same property. So at the end of the day, you may end up paying for one property for about 3 or 4 times, and that is not a good experience for any investor. So please avoid overzealous sales. Make all the necessary inquiries about the transaction. Do not give in to emotion. Do your due diligence about the property, the family, the owner, even the person trying to sell it to you. Yes, do some neighborhood check about the individual before you agree to make any financial commitment to such property. It is one way through which people are usually being scammed in this sector. The 9th way through which you can avoid property scam in Nigeria is to buy from a real estate company. Now, with the growth of real estate investment in Nigeria, there are a whole lot of developers. Of course, like I said earlier, once you have done your check about this estate or developers, it is advisable, or I usually advise, and of course, for us in Brightside Consulting Limited, we have over the years we have built strategic partnership with genuine developers or estates. So I will always advise investors to buy more from estate. The reason is very obvious. When you buy a property from an estate, you have a much more secured investment, because one, the property will be fenced, the property will be gated. Oftentimes, in fact, like Lagos, Abuja, and even some places in Port Harcourt, most of the estates will have security guards. Even when people are not yet living in that estate, they will have security personnel. Like some of our properties we have in Ibejuleki. If you go there, you will see security personnel who are standing to watch over the property day and night. Another thing, if you buy from an estate, you have a situation where you stand a chance of enjoying basic facilities. You have good road, you have light, you find out that the estate is planned. You enter the estate, you feel the beauty. And of course, another advantage is that you avoid the issue of resale and omonile, because once you buy your property and it's situated inside an estate, people can't easily have access to it. Unlike when you buy from a private individual where properties are sometimes sold to 3 different persons. That doesn't happen with estates. Reason being that, like I mentioned, once you buy the property, they are usually fenced with a gate, with a perimeter fence, with a gatehouse. So even anybody coming into that property at any point in time is usually checkmated. And of course, the next advantage you have from buying a property, I've actually done another video. I'm going to drop the link later on this bio, or maybe I'm going to upload it later, where I talked about the benefits of buying from a real estate company. I'm sure you're going to get more detail, but the end point is that I always advise investors to buy from an estate developer. It makes it more easier because every estate, before they acquire a property, they usually do their due diligence to know the position of the property, whether it's free from government acquisition, whether it's owned by a community, and all of that. They usually do all those checks. They even do a survey, a proper registered survey for the property you want to acquire. So buy from an estate is one of the ways to avoid property scamming, especially if you live outside Nigeria. Is one of the safest ways I know you can actually invest in real estate, by buying from estate developers. They are everywhere now, in Lagos, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt. Of course, Price High Consulting, we have a partnership with many of them that can give you genuine properties that will give you no stress at all. Primarily for this point, now buying from a real estate company gives you peace of mind. It gives you security of investment, and of course it gives you comfort because you now have to enjoy a whole lot of facilities. It's one of the safest ways to invest in real estate in Nigeria. Currently, as I speak, is one of the safest ways, of course, to avoid property scam. The term on how to avoid property scam in Nigeria is to use a realtor or consultant. Yes, a realtor or consultant, which of course I happen to be one of them. Now, the truth is that in life, we must respect the fact that everybody have their role. The same way you need a medical doctor for your health, the same way maybe you need an engineer to build your house and all of that, you need a realtor. Especially if you are a first-time investor in real estate in Nigeria, if working with a realtor will help you to avoid being scammed. Of course, I know that sometimes there are realtors also that makes things difficult and all of that, but believe you me, majority of them actually can help you, because a realtor has a whole of knowledge when it comes to the industry. A realtor also have so much knowledge about the product he or she wants to sell to you. A realtor is an experienced person. A consultant knows how the system works. So it's important that when you want to invest in real estate, work with a realtor. It will save you a whole lot of stress. So working with a realtor will save you a whole lot of stress, and it also help you to escape avoid being scammed, because at the end of the day, the realtor will ensure that you have the right product for the right investment objective. A realtor will ensure that you get all your documents. So do not depend on your own knowledge. If you are a new investor, please do work with a realtor. It will help you a lot to avoid being scammed in the property market. Alright, so here are the 10 ways through which you can avoid property scam. Believe you me, if you adhere strictly to the things I've mentioned in this video, you can never be a victim of scam as far as the Nigerian property market is involved. Well, this is the much you have for you in this week's edition of RealVestGuide. It's always a pleasure to bring you the right information so that you can make the right investment decision. Thank you for watching.